Concentrated prisoner entry is when you've got a lot of individuals coming out of prison going back to clustering in the same neighborhoods. There's a very uneven distribution of where ex-offenders are living in the United States. They tend to be in urban areas, but into very few neighborhoods within urban areas. A lot of great research has been done by the Urban Institute to establish this pattern. So, for example, people coming out of Illinois prisons, half of them go back to Chicago, but they're not going back to all Chicago neighborhoods. They tend to be clustering into just a few of them. And so kind of this macro pattern can have some serious implications in the sense that ex-offenders, if they tend to have negative views of the criminal justice system, that it may ultimately feed a culture of cynicism in these neighborhoods. And there's some great psychology of law research by Tom Tyler and others that suggests that when people view the police and the criminal justice system with cynicism, or if they think the system is illegitimate, then they're less likely to obey the law. And so my point is that concentrated prisoner entry, when you have many individuals coming back to a neighborhood who may have had some pretty negative experiences with the criminal justice system, and this may be detrimental for the culture of a neighborhood, may in fact create a culture where not only the ex-offenders are cynical of the criminal justice system and the police, but other residents, non-criminal residents, come to think that that the police are out to get them. But if less offenders actually went back to a neighborhood, then maybe the cynicism would be diluted in a sense, and kind of the pro-police, pro-government views would have a greater opportunity to have voice.